Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel. I'm Claudia and I have lost over 60 pounds on the medication Semaglutide, and my goal has been to keep it off. Today I am sharing with you my dosing journey. Remember, this is my personal experience. Please make sure that you seek your medical professionals when it comes to dosing. A lot of people talk about what is the best dose to be on or how fast you should move up. Once again, this is something that you should check with your doctor to see what the pattern is as far as moving up when it comes to dosing. But what is the best dose? It can be confusing a little bit when you're hearing about people taking a 2.5, 5 milligram, 10 milligram. Even for me at the beginning, I got a little confused because I was like, somebody's on a 10 milligram and I'm only on a 1 milligram. But it depends on the type of medication and of course your syringe that you are using for your injections. So make sure you check into all of that before you compare what your dose is to someone else's. So let's get into it. Let me take you back to May 2023. I started this journey at a 0.25 milligrams. And this was the syringe that I use. As you can see, hope you can see this. This was at a 0.25 milligrams. And I stayed here for 5 weeks. I felt comfortable here and I was not ready to move up. Even though the doctor did recommend I could go ahead and move up, I stayed there for 5 weeks. Then after that, I went up to a 0.5, and that is right here at the 20 mark. See that? And so I stayed here for 3 weeks. I felt like I was at a good rhythm, and then the clinic ran out of the medication. So this was during the time, this was July 2023. This was during the time where the weight loss community was really talking about the GLP-1 and how it was helping people lose weight. And the patients who were needing the medication for their diabetes were not able to get the medication because it was running out because of the weight loss community. And so my clinic stopped getting the medication for a few months. And so I was not able to get back on until November of 2023. During the time the clinic ran out of the medication, I was a little concerned about me gaining the weight back. I had lost 7 pounds, and for some that may not be much, but I was like, okay, I'm at a good point. What am I gonna do now? And so I went and of course looked into some other clinics. My clinic in particular is probably the lowest in the area. My weekly shots were ranging from $25 to $40. Literally, yes. And some clinics were $150 to $250. So my thing was, I'm gonna just wait it out. Another thing is, some people will say that you will gain the weight back. I can honestly say that is not always the case. At least it was not for me. I actually lost another 10 pounds during this wait time. So that was a total of 17 pounds from me starting the medication to me getting back on the medication. So I will say it just depends on the person. Everybody is different. And for me, I knew that I did not want to gain the weight back. And so I had already started making those healthier habits. I was already eating less. I was already kind of shrinking my stomach, what people will say, when it comes to the smaller meals. And that's what I continued during this process of me waiting till the clinic got the medication back. When I started back, my doctor recommended, since I had been off the medication for about 4 months, that I start back at a 0.25, which I did. I followed his instructions and I stayed on a 0.25 for about 2 weeks. Then I went back up to a 0.50 milligrams and I stayed there for about 15 weeks. I know you're probably saying, why did you stay at a 0.50 for 15 weeks? And here's why. In the beginning, I really did not want to rush this process. I was very hesitant about the medication just because anytime you're taking medication, weight loss or whatever the medication may be, you always want to take it with caution to see how things will affect your body. And that's just kind of how I was. I wanted to take it slow because I did not know how my body would react to the medication. So that was one reason why I took things slow. The other was because I was losing weight. I was not losing it super fast, but I was losing weight. And so I did not feel a need to move up because I wanted to lose the weight slow anyway. Also during this time, I lost my mother, and I also just lost a lot of motivation and in mental energy to even want to focus too much on my weight loss journey. I continued to use the medication, but I feel like my appetite was suppressed even more during this time in January and February of 2024, because that's when I was going through the process of losing my mom. So that was another factor that played into things. I also didn't have any strong side effects on the 0.50. So therefore, I felt no need to really move up. So after those 15 weeks, I moved up to the 0.75. And honestly, the nurse was like, I probably could have went on to the 1 milligram since I had stayed at the 0.50 for so long. But I just went on ahead and I did the 0.75 for about 2 weeks. And then I moved up to the 1 milligram and I stayed there for 16 weeks. Let me stop there and say that this is not your typical experience when it comes to your GLP-1. I know that there is a certain process that you go through when it comes to dosing. However, my doctor was very comfortable with me dosing the way that I, preferred, as long as I wasn't rushing my dose. So me going slow, he was okay with that. I had already lost a good amount of weight when I started the 1 milligram. I still was not having any major side effects, and therefore I stayed here for, like I said, 16 weeks. After losing over 60 pounds, I felt like it was time for me to start a maintenance dose. So I went to see my doctor. This was like June 2024. And I asked him, what did he recommend when it came to maintenance dosing? And he said that you can either lower your dose back and do every week at a low dose, or you can keep the dose at 1 milligram and just do every other week. So I chose to keep it at 1 milligram and just do every other week. While I was on this maintenance dose, I started trying to focus more on healthier habits, working out, getting better routines, meal planning, water intake, all these different habits, so that way I can make sure that I maintain keeping these 60 pounds off, because I know that I don't want to stay on this medication forever. Now, let's talk side effects. My side effects were very minimal. I will say that a lot of people talk about the different side effects that they had. I am thankful that I did not have any major side effects. I don't know if it was because I took such a long time at a low dose. I'm not really sure, but I'm just thankful I did not have any major side effects. In the beginning, the side effects for me were mostly nausea, and that came whenever I ate something too greasy, too sugary, drank a little wine, or overate. And I will tell you that my doctor warned me about overeating. He gave this scenario: if you have meat, steak and potato with your vegetables, with your meal, and you are wanting to eat that last bite and you eat it, even though you're stuffed already, he was like, you will feel sick. And he honestly was not lying. And so I did that a couple times in the beginning, and I learned really quick that that is something that I don't want to do, because I did not like that feeling. Another thing that happened on the very first day that I took my shot, I came home and ate a cookie. Now, this was something that I did not even think it would really affect, and I honestly kind of felt like I did forget I took the shot. However, it didn't take me long that my body reminded me that I took that shot. I was like, the medication will probably take a while before it does anything. But within about 10-15 minutes, I was already starting to feel nauseous. So I knew then sugary items was going to be something that I would have to hold off on. And of course, as the months went by, as the time passed, I was able to find a balance between eating these items and it did not affect me like it did in the beginning. Another side effect is constipation. And honestly, I don't want to really blame the medication for my constipation because I have been dealing with some digestive issues since my 20s. And therefore, I don't really know for sure if the constipation was solely because I was on the medication or if it was already some effects from having these issues. So I knew then that I needed to be more intentional with my fiber and my water and trying to make sure that I would take a supplement if I needed to, if I was not going on a regular basis, which of course, like I said, I wasn't already. So I had to take something to make sure that I stayed regular during this time. One thing I would recommend is to find the lowest effective dose. If you are losing weight, you're feeling good, you have minimum side effects, the food noise is manageable, and your appetite is suppressed, just stay at that dose. Thing is, what if you go up to the highest dose and you start stalling? And then there's no, you can't go any higher. There's no other dose to go to. Or you end up switching medications because you feel like, oh, I'm at a stall. If your goal is to get off the medication, I knew that I did not want to go to the highest dose. I wanted to find a happy place, which I did. And I would recommend that for you. Find that lowest effective dose and let that be your happy place. Once again, please make sure that you check with your doctor or a licensed medical professional when it comes to dosing. If you're on a GLP-1, tell me your dosing journey. If you've just started, tell me what's your plan. Are you going to go slow or are you going to go with the recommended dosing? I would love to know in the comments. As always, thank you for watching and I will see you all in the next video.